2023 Eurovision Song Contest. This is Pete from Eurovision. Today I had the absolute pleasure of speaking to Gustaph, this year's Belgian representative at the Eurovision Song Contest. Gustaph will be taking part for Belgium with the song Because of You, which he won the Belgian final by a very close margin, winning the EuroSong by just 1 point. This is not his first trip to the Eurovision Song Contest. He was a backing singer in 2021 and in 2018, but let's find out all about his plans as the main singer in 2023. So first of all, Gustaph, how are you?
I'm good, very good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really pleased that you've been able to speak to me this morning. So I met you in Liverpool very briefly a couple of weeks ago when you were on Radio Merseyside. Was that your first ever trip to Liverpool?
To Liverpool, yes, I had never been.
Okay, and what do you think of the place?
Beautiful. I was very maybe it's don't get me wrong when I say this, but it's because we've been drilled to think that Liverpool is like an industrial old city or something because of all those Beatles stories, and it's always the same. Where they put that narrative of Liverpool in our heads. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting maybe more of that, but when I arrived, I was really impressed with how beautiful the city is. And how modern the city is, like the architecture and the way you incorporated the old and the new in the city, I think is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it's such a vibrant city. And I love that the center is quite small, so it's easy to get everywhere. And I think that's, it's, don't get me wrong, quite small in a good way, meaning it's like you could just easily walk everywhere and get everything done. Yeah, and I love it. And I love the people. I think it just is really apparent that everyone is so kind.
Yeah.
That really is something that really struck me.
Yeah. Did you cope with the accent okay?
Yeah, I do okay. I think I do okay, but I'm sure people also know that I'm not like a native speaker, so they will adjust what they're saying as well, I guess.
And I saw some photos on Twitter that in your interview on the Radio Merseyside, you said you were looking for fish and chips. And
yes.
I saw a photo of you eating some next to a bus stop. Was it everything you expected?
Yes. And I'm always kind of like as a non-UK resident, I'm always very impressed with the mushy peas, and I know, but for me it's like I got the mushy peas and I got the fries and I was like, let me just dip it in there, and I was like, I don't know if this is actually any good. But let me try again, and by the end I was just like almost licking the mushy peas out because it's so good. Yeah, and I love that it's different because we're a fry country. I'm in Belgium, so we're all about the more small, crispy fries. And in this case, it's more like a chunky, big, like potato fries, what you guys have. But then with the batter and with the vinegar and the salt, and then some good tartare sauce. Yeah, I'm in heaven. So I'll be having more of that, if possible, in Liverpool.
Great, perfect. So let's talk about Eurovision and how you got to where you are. So I'm going to talk about the EuroSong first. So you had 2 songs to choose from,
yes.
The Nail and Because of You.
Yes.
And then you had to make the choice, didn't you?
Well, the concept was that we were all together, the 7 candidates for the EuroSong final, and that we would choose that we would give advice to the artists performing their 2 songs as the fellow contestants. But of course, the end decision was in our hands. So, and I lucked out because of course, I'm not going to be naive. You go in there and you already have something of a preference, So in my case, it was great because the song I preferenced was the one that they also preferenced. So I was like, okay, that's already less to think about in that sense.
And what was it about Because of You that it became your preference?
Well, I think that both songs that I did, so Because of You and the other song was The Nail, they both deal with self-realization and self-empowerment. But whereas Because of You is really celebratory and really about literally celebrating who you are and thanking the people who brought you there, The Nail is much more of an intuitive, like more subdued kind of song. It's quite dark and it more deals with the journey into getting to self-realization. So it was a bit of a dark, moody song, and I still hold that song very close to my heart. That's really about me as well. But I did feel like something like Because of You, because of its instant feel-good factor, it would translate well in a Eurovision setting.
And you said then that you had to watch the other singers perform their songs. So going into the contest, how did you feel about the other songs and your chances of winning and things?
Going in is because I was the third one I think who actually released material. So, but when I started, it was like you can only do a top three basically. So that was a bit early. But then, yeah, the more I heard the other songs, because I think it's a very interesting mix of songs this year because we have a lot of
Yeah.
diversity. I think there's something in there for everyone. But what I could say about my song and my entry is I don't think there's really anything like it. Meaning really this kind of like it's really more of a dance orientated, house orientated track. Really, like a lot of people are saying it's a bop. This kind of idea of like you like more like a club song. So I do think that it stands out in that sense. Yeah.
We have to talk about your reaction to winning.
Yes.
Because I think most fans would agree that is one of the highlights of this year's national finals. Talk us through that moment when you realised you'd won by just a point.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, as you could see, it's still a meme. It was a combination of true shock, honestly, and just pure happiness and not having any referential thing when it comes to winning something like this. I've never done a competition in my life. This is my first time ever doing something like this. And I think someone like me, because I've been in this business for so long, I was more. I'm used to expecting not too much because I'll keep working. I work before and I'll work after kind of idea. So it wasn't like, oh my God, this is my shot. I have to win this. I didn't go into the competition even with that. I was more like, this is a great way for me to show myself to Belgium again, to introduce my material to Belgium. So I was just going in with the idea of like, if I win, great, but I have to be realistic. We're with 7 artists. So, and then when the results came in, the first results were the jury points, and I was third, and I was like, this is amazing. I won't be last. Great. This is my mindset. I'm really like, anything is a plus.
Right.
Basically. So I think the ultimate plus was something I was not completely expecting, but I was elated to be clear. And also, I really want to stress also that doesn't, because I was in shock, doesn't mean that I was unambitious. I was definitely ambitious to go. I was just being realistic in those moments because there were favorites, and I was a bit of the underdog, the dark horse in that national final. So yeah, that's why I was acting the way I did. But it's sunk in after like about a week. I think I realized I'm actually going to Liverpool, and now I'm just very happy to represent my country in Liverpool.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching it, and the camera was trained on the 2 female singers, and I think it was felt they were going to win, and then suddenly the scoreboard erupted, and we saw your incredible reaction.
Exactly.
It's a real moment of the year, I think. So, what are your plans for Liverpool when you get on stage? How are you going to do things any differently?
Well, I can't tell you too much because the penalty will have me killed, and the blood will be on your hands. But I can say that it's going to be much more dynamic. Because on the staging for national final, we were kind of constricted to those stairs, which was a great idea for the national final. But I don't think we could have done that in Liverpool. So we had to rethink the whole act and make it more dynamic. So I can tell you there's going to be much more movement about going on stage. There will be more interaction with the backing vocalists, and I will have, instead of 2, I will have 3 backing vocalists with me. So it's going to be much more of an interactive thing. Yes.
Brilliant. Great. And this isn't your first Eurovision, really, is it? You sang backing vocals for Hooverphonic and also for Senek a couple of years back. But this is your first experience as a front and centre.
Yes.
What have you got? Are you going to bring any of your previous Eurovision experience to help you in the contest?
Yes. I mean, I do think it can be an advantage in a sense that I know what it's like to work as a team because I've been part of a delegation twice. And I also have a reference when it comes to how rehearsals work and how you have to build up everything towards your performance for a semi-final and then hopefully a final. I think that does give me an advantage because it makes the logics of it all a bit more simple because I know what to expect. And the same thing goes with knowing how important those rehearsals are, knowing that there's always eyes on you. Because I think a lot of people, I went in there like it's a rehearsal the first time I went, not realizing that everyone is watching every rehearsal and that it's going around all over the internet. So you have to be, they say it's rehearsal, but you have to be on point every time you enter that stage. So I do, those kind of things I know now because I've done it twice, and I know that we have to nail it from the get-go. That's going to be
Absolutely.
essential for the bookmakers and for all the odds and all that kind of stuff. So that's an advantage. I think it's an advantage because I go in with already a bit of more strategy because of this.
Let's talk a little bit about the song then. So what would you say is the major message of Because of You?
Well, because of you, in its very essential message talks about self-empowerment and self-acceptation and thanking the people who brought you there. And for me, that's a personal thing. I wrote it with Jawad Alul, who's a fellow queer artist. So we both write from the same perspective. And I think as a queer or gay man, I know for a fact that I look for people who have a similar experience as me when it comes to going through life. You find your own tribe, truly. And it's not only just queer people, it can be, but in my case, it's just I'm more surrounded by a lot of artistic people and a lot of people who understand what it's like to be an artist. So you create your own little family. And I think the beautiful thing with queer culture is we have a tradition in taking care of each other, because there was a time when no one would take care of us. And so we had to do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why I'm honoring that legacy, is what I'm honoring personally with that song. But that's just my feeling. And I think because of you, that you in the title can be about anyone who brought you to that place of self-empowerment. So I think it has a universal theme as well.
The most important question about your song, have you decided what hat you're going to wear?
Yes, I have. And there's going to be a hat, of course. There's something I cannot not do. And we have this, there's going to be a hat involved in the outfit.
I'm assuming you're not going to tell me anything about it, but is it bigger or smaller than the one you wore at EuroSong?
To be continued. Stay tuned.
Perfect. If it's okay, I always ask this question to people who write songs, so this is my last question.
Right.
Obviously, you wrote this song. If you could choose any artist at all to cover it at a later time, who would you most want to have sing it?
Oh my God, it's a great question. Yes, I guess because it's written in a tradition of that song really is a ode to like the early 90s house culture with the big diva vocals. So I guess I would say I would be, maybe someone like Juliet Roberts or someone like Martha Wash or some of those really iconic house singers. It would be great to hear them do a take on that. And I think someone like, I think more of soulful vocals, because I love artists I love, but maybe someone like Shaka Khan could have a nice go at this song and let rip. That would be a good way. Yeah, those are the artists I think of, because I think that it has to stay true to the culture and true to the nature of the song.
Great. Brilliant. Well, that's everything I wanted to ask. Is there anything you want to say to any of the Eurovision fans across Europe or across the world who will be watching this interview? Or
yeah, so I would like to say thank you to all the Eurovision fans and people like you who take the time to look at the national finals, to engage with the artists, because I've seen it even in a more profound way this year, where I think you are the fire starters of the Eurovision. And then after a while, the public will take over. But you start everything with being so involved with national finals by going to Eurovision parties. And I think it's an essential part of Eurovision, an integral part of Eurovision. And I think without you, it wouldn't be at the big level it is right now. So I thank you for doing that, because you really start everything when it comes to that.
Well, on behalf of the fans, you're welcome. Gustaph, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and best of luck in the semi-final and hopefully the final.
Yes.
And we'll see you in Liverpool in a few weeks' time.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Coach. Have a good one. Bye-bye.